There's that music. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. It's another time. It's time for another weekend edition of All the Way Live with the Love Birds. I am one half of your dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Byrd, and this lovely, beautiful, talented woman to my side, she goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
And together we are the Love Birds. And we are, as always, glad to be with you for another pandemic style All the Way Live with the Love Birds. And man, I'm just happy to be able to share whatever we can share with you today to try to help your marriage and your relationship get to, what do they say, the next level?
Next level.
And then the next level, and then the next level, so that your marriage can be flourishing. And so, if you're new to Flourishing Families Ministry, I want to welcome you.
Ministry?
Well, I'm sorry, Flourishing.
It's none. It's the Lovebirds.
The Lovebirds. If you're new to All the Way Live with the Lovebirds, oh wow! If you're new to All the Way Live with the Lovebirds, I just want to explain that what we do here on Friday nights is, read articles about marriage and things like that, and then we want to share some of those nuggets and tidbits with you. Just our way of trying to help marriages all over the country, all over the world, get better. For over 20 years, we've been faith-based marriage and family counselors, and we love counseling couples. But this is a way for us to help couples even without you having to come and see us individually. If you need to, you can, but this is a way to help us with that. So what would you like to say to the people, baby?
Welcome to All the Way Live with the Lovebirds.
Oh, this is not Flourishing?
No,
okay.
That's your Sunday service. And we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. I just know that if you really tune in, take notes, apply knowledge, I promise you that your life will change. But a knowledge that's not applied won't do anything for you. So on that note, I want you to take your finger, push the button, and share with another family, with another marriage, with another relationship, that their life can be changed just like yours. And that's what I have for you today.
Push it, share. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and also ring the bell so you can get these notifications when we're going live with All the Way Live with the Lovebirds. All right, where you too can learn to be your own Lovebirds. All right. So today we're going to be talking about some destructive reactions that married people have, people in general have in relationships, but some destructive reactionary behaviors that can lead to destruction and really divorce in your marriage relationship. It's been a long time since I solicited a technician, a technology person for my wife.
Jeez.
All right. And so I want to start by asking you a few questions. So hopefully you've shared, you got a few people on to watch. And so I want to start by asking you a few questions, and maybe you can comment on each of these questions as we get started. And not that we're at this place anymore, but we've been here, and we counsel people and talk to people on a regular basis that are at these places. So question number one: do you find it difficult to communicate and express your needs with your spouse? Do you find it difficult to communicate effectively and express your needs to your spouse? Do you think there are people that are watching? Do you think it's the majority of the people that are watching that find it difficult to communicate effectively with their spouse and to express their needs to their spouse?
Absolutely. One of the reasons that I feel that from experience is like based on you trying to express your feelings, based on what you're thinking while you're trying to express your feelings. And if you already have a preconception of what is going to happen, what has already happened, or the movie you put in fast forward that hasn't happened yet, then when you're trying to communicate, then sometimes it's all wrong because you already kind of know how it's going to end, how it's going to start, what the outcome is, and you're thinking things while they're trying to talk so you can't hear them. So it's all messed up from the start. And then some people feel like if they share their emotions and their feelings, then the rest of the day, the rest of the week, or maybe the month may be jacked up. And so can you imagine having to live like that? Like constantly living like that. And it's like when you get married to a person, that should be a safe place. But in so many marriages, it's not a safe place, and they find themselves talking to other people to get what they need, to get their breakthroughs, to get their healing, and whatever it takes to get that. So be it. But it would be nice if the communication was healthy enough for you to do it with your spouse.
Ah, outstanding. Absolutely. I agree 100%. So if you check the box on that one, I got 3 more questions to ask you. Question number 2, I want to ask you, do you in your relationship lack intimacy? And do you at times or quite often feel disconnected to your spouse? Again, do you lack intimacy? And do you often feel disconnected to your spouse? You see that going on in a lot of marriages today?
I mean, just based on the first question and what I just explained, how do you have intimacy if you can't do that? It's like that's impossible. If you can't talk to a person, be able to go deep with a person without confusion or feeling like it's going to be war, then it's impossible for intimacy to be a part of that.
Impossible.
Impossible.
So if you already checked the box number 1, then number 2 is going to be automatic. So check the box again for number 2. Question number 3. You can't even pull it up on my page?
I mean, I'll try. Go ahead.
Pull it up on mine, so then you can try sharing it to yourself. Question number 3, I want to ask you. Are you sometimes feeling stuck because you keep having the same fights over and over again? So you can finish that one. Do you at times feel stuck? It's like it's like we keep having the same issues, the same fights, the same arguments over and over and over and over again.
How is that possible?
Yeah, how is that possible?
Me. Woo. That's all I gotta say.
Woo, meaning that woo meaning like we've been there.
Been there, done that. It's almost make you feel like you're schizophrenic. It makes you feel like all of the different things that you can be diagnosed with, when you gotta keep cycling around the same thing without a results, that is so discouraging. And it's hopeless. It's like it takes this, what's it said, the heart, I'm trying to think of the scripture where if the heart is not happy, what's the one?
About
the heart is sick. Like it's
deceitful? No, which
I'm talking about, golly.
Let me go into my reservoir.
Okay, I'm talking, golly, why can I think of that scripture where it's talking about
an overview of it.
An overview of it is like you can get so hopeless and so sad that it makes the heart sick.
Oh, that's like a psalm.
Yes.
Scripture in the Psalms. Yeah.
And
yeah,
so, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. They know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Cool. They read the Bible. They know.
Okay, cool.
And that's not good. So if you check that one, and I'm sure if you check number 1 and number 2, you probably check that one as well.
Yeah.
And then my last question to you. Are you ever or quite often feeling easily triggered by built-up resentment? Ooh. Does it just take seemingly just a little of anything to set you off in your relationship? Something a look by your spouse or something and I mean, it's just like, I mean, your fuse is short. I mean, as soon as you flick it, boom, it's lit. Do you feel easily triggered by built-up resentment?
If there is resentment, then absolutely. But the question is how did it get built up? It got built up from the first question. Improper communication, no intimacy, can't say what you think and feel without a war, married to someone that you can't be yourself with, feeling like a stranger in your own home. Just all of those things where everything that is said or done is coming from a place where, are we on the same team? And when you don't feel like that, resentment is setting in whether you know it or not. And when you keep having all of these explosions and all of these things that take place, they're happening because there's something laying dormant there. Quit brushing it away and say, they just said something to make me mad. No, if you got to get that angry and you go off and you just feel yuck and towards your spouse or whatever, there is either unforgiveness or resentment laying dormant in your heart.
Absolutely.
In your heart.
Great.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what it is about your computer that won't let you do that.
If you didn't need your notes, we'll get it in yours.
All right.
Yeah.
So um, you can't imagine how quickly, if you check those four boxes, I can only imagine how sometimes how hopeless you may feel in your relationship, in your marriage. You know, you don't want to get a divorce if you're a Christian or you're a believer or something like that, but you want it to be a whole lot better than it is,
Yeah.
and you really feel like you need a miracle.
Yeah.
And you tried and tried and tried. And they tried and tried and tried, but you need a miracle. Let me tell you something. You can't imagine how quickly a miracle can occur for your relationship when you learn how to respond well to the negative moments that you have with your spouse. I'm talking about a miracle can happen. Your marriage can go from a place to where you were having difficulty communicating, you were short fused, you were arguing over the same things over and over again. I mean, all these things were taking place in your relationship on a regular basis. And then all of a sudden, if you can get to the place to where you can, one of you, really only takes one at least to start. One of you can learn how to start reacting differently to those negative emotions and those moments that happen. Because what tends to happen in relationship is that, you know, when something you do triggers me and sets me off, then I respond with one of these four ways that I'm going to talk about. And when I respond in one of these four ways, then that sets you off. Mm-hmm. And now you respond in one of these four ways. And when you respond in one of these four ways, then that sets me off again. And now we're pinging off each other, recycling. We're in this destructive cycle, of afflicting negative emotions and harm to one another by one of these four ways that we respond. And so I'm going to talk about these four ways. We're going to talk about the four ways that couples often respond when they check those boxes that I asked you earlier. And when you respond in these ways, you'll see how it sets you off and it sets your spouse back off. And you got to get out of this negative, destructive dance. Mm-hmm. This is no dance you want to be in. And any of y'all know us personally know that we can dance. Well, just kidding. We can two-step, put it like that. Any of y'all know us know we can two-step. And that's a dance that you want to do if you're a married couple. It's lovely, it's beautiful, you work together, it's romantic, all that good stuff. This destructive dance over these negative emotions, that's not a dance you want to be doing. Yeah. That's a dance that separates you and gets you apart. Often leads people to divorce. Yeah. All right. And we know that conflict is the greatest destroyer of intimacy. Conflict. When there's conflict, you just don't feel close. Listen, I don't care how beautiful my wife is. If there's conflict, I'm not feeling her. Yeah. And I can answer for her. I don't care. No, it's a little different for her, because even though, you know, I may have conflict, she still finds me highly attractive, and she still desires me and wants me greatly. So don't judge yourself over her. She just has a Jones for me, so she has a thing for me. So for most of you, if you may find your spouse attractive and all that, but when there's conflict, you're not feeling them. You're not feeling them at all.
It's almost like something happens so instantly, almost as if you don't even never knew them or like them or want them. It's just unbelievable, the feelings that can come. That's immediately. It's crazy. And so that's why you got to be careful. What I hate the most is if we talk about something like this and then turn around and don't do it. I have a problem with that type of stuff. And so it's like, if you say, I'm going to put in the work and I want to keep my relationship, then do what you say and put in the work, because it is a lot of work that you have to put in to be able to establish what you want. It's not going to just happen, and you can't keep on letting the fuse be lit. You just cannot. And it's like, if you do that, the saddest thing is to live miserable. And to be in a relationship where you got to feel those feelings we just described consistently. Man. No human being can survive in that. Nope. Even if you stay.
You're dying on the inside. You're dying emotionally.
All the above.
I see you 10 years later and you're not yourself.
Man.
Visibly, I can see something wrong.
Yeah.
It just changes your whole molecular structure on the inside.
I'm like, I got to the point where I'm like, if I'm going to be married, I'm going to stay married, then I got to do whatever it takes not to feel like this is it. That I just got to accept this is it. No, you got to be able, I don't know how to live unhappy or to live without some form of joy. And so even when you do it, something eventually will shake you, wake you up if you get desperate enough to make the adjustments. And so that's what I did.
All right, so now I'm sure you're ready. What are those, Dr. J, Dr. A, what are those 4 destructive behavioral reactions that most married couples have when they're in this cycle of destruction? Well, one of them is, and there's no particular order of them. Yeah, baby.
That's on your page.
That's okay, at least you see it.
For now.
One of them is escalation. That is a destructive behavior. When your button is pushed, when you're triggered, and you escalate the situation, it is the start. It's like if I want to dance. If you ever been at a place where they dance? Mm-hmm. Let's take you back before you've been married. Let's take you back. Some of y'all used to go out to the juke joint, to the club, something like that, and a guy, he saw a girl, he's checking out, and he wants to dance with her, and he walks over to her, and he wants to dance, and so he says, "Hey, would you like to dance?" And he also reaches out his hand. Mm-hmm. He's inviting her to come and dance, right? Well, just like he says, "Hey," he smiles and says, "Hey, would you like to dance?" He reaches out and invites. I saw it. He reaches out and invites her to dance. That same invitation that he invites her to dance, escalation is that same invitation to the destructive dance. Mm-hmm. When you escalate a situation that triggers you, you have just invited your spouse into this destructive cycle of tit for tat. We about to go, because as soon as you escalate, then they're most likely you're going to escalate. Mm-hmm. And especially if you got 2 people. Now there's they may do, even if they don't escalate, they're going to do one of these other 3 behaviors. Okay, and so and the thing about it, maybe I'll say this now and then I'll say this afterward. I'm talking about we're telling you what these destructive behaviors are, and that you need to stop them, and they will create a miracle in your relationship if you can stop them. But I got some bad news for you, and I'm sorry. Just by me telling you what they are and telling you that if you stop them, it'll stop the destructive cycle that you're having in your relationship. It's not just as easy as you listening to us talk about this for 20 minutes and then saying, "Okay, I got it." There's some real changes that you have to make on the inside. Yeah, we'll talk about that in another one. Some work you got to put in. You got to roll up the sleeves and do some inside work on your belief system. And forgiveness and all those different things. So I'm just telling you that off the start. But don't escalate the situation.
Yeah, because it's even worse when you got 2 escalators. It's bad enough when you got 1, but when you got 2, that's dramatic. But then you have the one that's that away, and then one that's quiet. Even though they're quiet, they're being more damaged than the person who's talking, because at least they're saying something.
And that's the second one that we're going to introduce. The second destructive behavior is avoidance. It's shutting down, stonewalling, walking away, locking up your feelings and emotions inside. Mm-hmm. That is another destructive behavior. And like she said so eloquently, if I escalate and she's not an escalator, and she turns and avoids it, some of you feel like
you won.
You feel like you got your point across. Mm-hmm. You feel like she heard
Bully,
me.
No.
You feel good. Well, guess what? You just destroyed your relationship. Yeah. If she walks away or he walks away quiet, avoiding it, and not being able to get their point across and communicate effectively with you, you took the L. Your relationship didn't win. You didn't win. You took the L. And that's those are the first 2. It's either escalate, you escalate back, or escalate and one avoids. Shut down, stonewall.
They're both dangerous.
Both are extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
The third one is when we use negative words towards one another. When you allow your words to be negative, or here's something else too. Even if you don't mean them negatively, but it's something that they take negatively. Mm-hmm. It's just as destructive. Even if you didn't mean it to be negative, but they take it negative, then it's destructive. That means your communication is not effective enough to say, well, when you say that to me, that sounds like, And so you can say, well, you know what, I better not say that. I mean, I'll try to use another way of saying something, something like that. Or sarcasm, something I used to do a lot that you hated. And I had to learn to really get rid of that in our relationship. Ridicule, that's something you don't do to your spouse. You don't ridicule your spouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a word out there that wants to ridicule.
Yeah.
Home, would you say earlier, home should be a safe space.
Should be a safe space.
And it's not a safe space if you ridicule one another. So don't escalate when you get those negative moments. Don't avoid and shut down when those negative moments happen. Do not use your negative words. We've been talking about language. We're in a 30-day challenge on using nice words. Change the words, the way you use them, and even the tone, the smile. You know that your nonverbal is like 75 to 80% of the communication.
Yeah.
So say it with a smile, with good body language and things like that. And so that's number 3. And then the 4th one is getting defensive. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that happens in those moments when your emotions rise, when you don't like something that happened, you're triggered or whatever, and you get defensive.
It's called, we call it defensive, but it's called, I think I am protecting myself. That's what we really think we're doing. We're trying to protect ourselves from hurt. And when you do that, then it goes into the category of defensive. And when it gets there, then you come out fighting. Because anybody who think they're getting ready to be hurt, harmed, or somebody's trying to destroy them, a natural person comes out fighting. And so that's what's happening in the relationship. You're coming out fighting the wrong person. And so you really have to practice words, meaning like I have journaled words that when I ask questions like, why did that make me feel that way? Why am I feeling some kind of way? I'm asking those questions even when other people don't know I'm asking, because it's words that maybe was used in childhood or used in our lives that if you say to me, like, if I say, hey, you want to come alone or you want to go? And you say, if you want me to, I can. Those kind of words for me in the past were like trigger words of you really don't want to be bothered or rejection. And so maybe one day you should take the time out to ask your spouse, what are some of the words that make you feel bad? Even if they're not coming out harsh and you're not saying words, you could say, if you want me to, with a smile. But if that person feels like, man, they don't even want to come or be with me or be a part of me, then even no matter how nice you say it, it can still affect them. So I think that, and this is just something that the Holy Spirit gave me, it's that you really need to know what those words are to make other people feel some kind of way. And so just because they're fine for you doesn't mean they're fine for other people. And yes, you can say, well, don't be so sensitive or be this way, but you may not come from where they come and your plight may not be their plight. And so you have to develop and talk and understand each other when it comes to words that you use.
Absolutely. Well said, sweetie. Well said. And, if you said that, we talked about language. So if you say, I say, yeah, I can, if you want me to. A better way, if you really don't want to go, but you don't really want to say you don't want to, a better way to do that would say, you know what, sweetie, I love being with you. I do. And I like going places with you. But right now, I don't really want to go.
Or just say I want to chill. That way versus what's normally said. Yeah. I can, or if you want me to.
Yeah.
Those words like that.
I kind of wanted to chill, but but this is one. Sometimes I'll say, "Is this one of those times where this is optional or really optional?" And then she'll say, "No." I say, "Okay, let's go."
That sounds so much better than the other ones. It's like, because that is like you're in tune. Is letting me know that you have really thought about your words or thought about my feelings versus I can.
And then sometimes she'll say, yeah, this is one of those times it's optional. I'll say, okay, well, I want to chill.
Yeah, and then I say, see you later. Yeah.
But sometimes I say, is this one of those times it's optional? And she'll like, nah. I'll be like, all right, let's go. Let's go. But as I said before, now it would be great if you could get to the point where both of you are willing to stop those reactions. Think about those 4. I hope you wrote them down. Go back and listen to this. Write down the reactions And then start looking at your reactions with one another and say, that was escalation. That was avoidance. That was negative words. That was start seeing, and then start trying to change, rewind, back out of that, rewind and change your behaviors. And if you get to the point where you recognize that you're doing this, but there's just something inside of you that won't let you change, then you may need more detailed help.
Yeah.
You know, because we've been there and we know how to get through that. We understand what that's all about, and you can get there through that. Because man, if you can get, and listen again, it only takes one person to stop the destructive dance. Just like if I ask her, would you like to dance, and she says yes, then boom, we dance. We both know for dancing. If I ask her, would you like to dance, because I want to dance, and she says no, then that only took one person to stop us from dancing. Well, it's the same thing as this. If one person pushes your button in that moment and does something, and your normal reaction would be to escalate, and you learn not to escalate, you by yourself just stop the whole destructive dance.
Yeah. And this is what I don't ever want you to take for granted or think is happening. If all of a sudden your relationship change and flourish, if you ever think it's flourishing because that other person finally changed, then you are missing it big time. Because yes, it may take one to stop the dance or to start the dance or whatever, but somebody had to be like, this is it, this is enough, and this is how I'm gonna live, and make a choice. So don't ever think because it's good they finally got it, or they finally just did something to change the relationship in a better way and you had nothing to do with it. That's deception. And so just be grateful and thankful that it's better, instead of saying, because if you go there, that's pride. So don't go to those places. Just be grateful and thanking God, whatever it took, and whoever stepped up, whatever is better. So look at it that way, because I've had friends recently, it's like, man, it's better. He finally changed, or she finally No, if you're looking at it that way, then you will never own your part. And so don't make that mistake.
That's very good, sweetie. Well, again, I would challenge you to get together with your spouse, watch this, and then have a sit down and talk about this. Spend some time talking about each one. Maybe if you don't do it all at one night, tonight we'll talk about one. Then we'll talk about the next one the next time. The next one. Talk about these, and this will give you great victory in your relationship. This will get much of the conflict out of your relationship. And when the conflict goes, guess what shows up? The intimacy. The intimacy shows up. And so, if you can get the intimacy out, then you can be like me. When this show's over, I'm gonna roll to the store, grab some popcorn, and so, some real popcorn, not the kind you put in the microwave, some real popcorn. Let sister girl
on the stove,
shake it up on the stove, old fashioned, pop in a movie, and just have a good old fashioned romantic date night. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? I'm just waiting right now for the theme music to kick in. Once the theme music kick in, I'm out of here, y'all. I got a date tonight. It's about to go down in my house, all the way live with the Lovebirds. If I can figure out how to get the theme music on, we good. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Y'all know the music. There we go. There we go. Y'all hear it? There we go. This has been another weekend edition of All the Way Live with the Lovebirds. Again, I'm one half of your dynamic duo, go by the name of Dr. James Byrd. This lovely and beautiful, talented wife of mine, with her anointed fine self, she goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
And together we are
the
Lovebirds. And we will see you, God willing, next